Hello, everyone, and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Nancy Byrne, and we are coming to you from the Las Vegas City Council Chambers Control Room. This is where the crew sits and makes sure that council meetings or whatever is going on in council chambers gets to you on Channel 2 or live streamed. And it's not open to the public, which is why I'm not wearing a mask. Speaking of masks and COVID-19, it has certainly taken a toll on all of us. But mental health experts say it has really hit our youth extra hard. Social isolation, trying to learn from home, and fear of the virus itself has caused a frightening uptick in teen suicides and attempted suicides. Well, this got the attention of the city of Las Vegas because we care about our kids. So recently, we teamed up with one of our very own Las Vegas Raiders to address the issue. Solomon Thomas, we're used to seeing this defensive tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders on the football field, fighting it out with the opposing team. But there is another fight he's waging. Through his recently formed foundation, the Defensive Line, he hopes to end the epidemic of youth suicide, especially among teens of color, through education and tools to open the lines of communication when it comes to mental health.
I'm Solomon Thomas of the Las Vegas Raiders, and first of all, I just want to applaud all the kids being here, all the students being here today.
He, along with the Raiders team psychologist, Dr. Sheldon Jacobs, spread the foundation's message through forums like this one, recently held in Las Vegas City Council chambers, with youth from the city's Batteries Are Included program.
You never know what someone's going through, and so it's important to be kind to everyone, to be empathetic, and when you ask someone like how you're doing, like really ask them, how are you doing, and listen to them. Part of being in mental health is being a good listener too, as well as being a good talker.
The anxiety and the depression, there's so many things that our young people are dealing with today. And so I think it was important that we came out and had a conversation about mental health in an effort to normalize it as much as possible, because there's still a stigma attached to mental health, unfortunately. And with that stigma, a lot of people feel that they can't come out and talk about their mental health struggles.
Unfortunately, Solomon knows all too well what can happen when depression and anxiety are not confronted and treated like the illnesses they are.
It really wasn't until, my sister died by suicide in 2018 when I really understood the importance of mental health. And, I'm here today because of my sister.
He, his big sister Ella, and their parents, Martha and Chris, were a tight-knit family. But through the years, Ella went through some rough times, suffered from anxiety and depression, and on January 23rd of 2018, she died by suicide. It shattered the family's world.
People think it's a feeling that you can get over, or just, something that you can just fight through, and, it's not true. It's a chemical disease, and your, the serotonin and everything in your brain is not functioning and not balanced, and you just can't be happy, or you can't calm down, or you can't, just, relax. And, it's to a point where people, it takes more to be alive.
At first, he didn't want to talk about it. It was simply too painful. But that changed following an interview he agreed to reluctantly, after which people told him his story changed or even saved their lives.
So it just really motivated me to continue to speak and continue to make this part of my day-to-day life, to talk about mental health and erase the stigma, because so many people are struggling, so many families are suffering, and we need to uplift each other and understand the importance of mental health.
That prompted him to form the Defensive Line Foundation, which regularly hosts events like this one, where he opens up about it all, the heartbreaking loss of his sister, and his own struggles with anxiety as a teen and in college.
And I would not sleep for hours and hours and hours. I would stay up until like 3 in the morning just because I was just having anxiety attacks about what am I doing, what is going to be next. And I didn't understand what I was going through. It took me a while to find the language to describe it, to find help, and to see a psychologist or therapist.
Hearing his story gives the kids courage to open up, often really open up.
But I attempted suicide in March, and obviously I'm still here. I'm getting the help I need, but nobody really noticed how bad I was hurting until it got to that point. Just checking on your friends and checking on your family and checking on yourself, because You never see it coming.
When the kids speak up, it opens the door for him to step in with help.
Like you said, it's easy to go around day to day and you can smile and, act like everything's okay, and you can be down on the inside. You can never know. It's why it's important to check on your friends, ask how they're doing. And, if they say, I'm good, ask them, okay, like, how are you really doing?
Compassion and communication are keys to starting the healing process, according to Solomon and Dr. Jacobs.
So research shows that the more we talk about suicide, the more that we open up to the doors for hope and for support or help.
Solomon hopes by relating to these teens and allowing them into his journey, they will realize reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.
Because we're all going to go through mental health at some point in our life, and I wanted to show them as a professional athlete, as what people would call a big, tough guy, that I suffer too. I have mental health, struggles from a day-to-day basis, and I have to work on it every day. It's not something that I can just get over. I have coping mechanisms. It's something that I work on every day. So I just want to relate with them and let them know it's okay to not be okay.
This event was a partnership of the Mayor's Fund for Las Vegas, LIFE, the Thomas Family's The Defensive Line, Lady Gaga's Foundation, Born This Way, and Hope Means Nevada. And at the event, the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians presented $10,000 each to these nonprofits in support of youth mental health. When it comes to the city of Las Vegas helping people out, we don't just stick to our own community. In fact, Nevada Task Force 1, made up of members of fire departments across our region, recently returned from 2 different locations. Louisiana, where they were helping out with relief after Hurricane Ida, and Northern Nevada, where they were helping out with those wildfires. Sue Levitt shows us how we were able to reach out to opposite ends of our country and help everyone out.
As one of the strongest hurricanes to ever hit the United States touched down in Louisiana, another national emergency a little closer to home was putting northern Nevada at risk. The Caldor fire that's burning throughout California was blazing its way across the Nevada border into Lake Tahoe, causing a mass evacuation of the area. Southern Nevada firefighters were eager to help. 24 volunteers from Las Vegas headed north to battle the Caldor fire near Lake Tahoe, while another 38 firefighters with Nevada Task Force 1, activated by FEMA, went to aid with Hurricane Ida relief efforts in Louisiana. Eric Moon, a battalion chief for Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, was part of the team sent to Lake Tahoe. Eric left within a couple of hours after receiving the call to help. He didn't think twice about going and was eager to arrive and provide help to an area very close to his heart.
Being from that area and seeing it evacuated was, it was like a zombie apocalypse. To see it completely empty, and Zephyr Cove, where they have their Tahoe Douglas fireboat, completely empty was, I never thought I'd see that.
Eric was born in Lake Tahoe and also started his career as a firefighter in the Tahoe area before moving to Las Vegas to join Las Vegas Fire and Rescue.
I drove past my old house and took a picture and didn't know if that was going to be the last time I could see the house that I grew up in, because it was one of the houses in Myers that was closer to the fire by my old elementary school, Sierra House Elementary School. The
Las Vegas firefighters were brought in to backfill fire stations and handle regular department duties so local firefighters could aid in containing the wildfire, or just simply get some rest or go home to check on their families.
I wanted to help in any way I could. Lake Tahoe's, it's close to my heart.
Luckily, by the 3rd day of our crews arriving, winds began to die down, causing the fire to divert away from the Tahoe area. About the same time, in Louisiana, Hurricane Ida had made her mark, causing billions of dollars in damage. Ida's top winds grew to 150 miles per hour just before making landfall on the same date Hurricane Katrina ravaged Louisiana and Mississippi 16 years earlier.
The damage was unbelievable. Just structures completely blown over. Where we worked was the Grand Isle in Louisiana, and they had a little standalone power plant, and just the power plant itself was destroyed.
Randy was one of the Nevada Task Force team members sent to Louisiana. The 38-member team was made up of water rescue specialists, structural engineers, hazmat technicians, physicians, and a team of canines.
We all see it on TV. We've grown up seeing these pictures, but boy, when you see it in person, it's really something. The fact that just to see the roofs ripped off, and you can see through where the roof would have been into someone's room, and you can see where their bed would have been, and it's things thrown across the room, and you know they have to have family pictures in there, and all of their personal items just destroyed.
By the time our Las Vegas team made it to Louisiana, the damage was evident. The team's mission was to help survey and document all of the destruction. The team also monitored the air to be sure there was nothing toxic or flammable in the atmosphere, and also tested water for contamination. Dogs were with the team to sniff around for remains.
And there was a person who said it was, I think, 22 or 23 straight hours of intense wind, and they said it was the sound of a train passing by for 22 hours.
Randy and his crew were able to stay in Louisiana for 2 weeks to assist the people there, and the crew in Tahoe stayed for 5 days to help. And when they returned home, they all agree they were happy to help and would do it all again when the next call comes in. For City Beat, I'm Sue Levitt.
Thank you, Sue Levitt, for that story, and thank you, Nevada Task Force 1, for reaching out and helping our citizens across the country. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's open for business. We'll take you to a cozy coffee shop tucked away in the northwest part of our city. But as we go to break, we also want to feature some of our city leaders in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Been with the city of Las Vegas for 23 years. In that time, served various capacities. Started off in 1998 as a project manager, managing a lot of the infrastructure projects for the city, and kind of worked my way up through different positions. Previous position, just prior to being the city manager, I was the chief operations officer prior to last year. My dad was born in Mexico City, and my mom was born in Ciudad Juarez, and I actually lived in Ciudad Juarez for about 8 years before moving to the United States. What I like about the Mexican culture is the richness it has. A lot of history behind it, comes from a lot of different places, very rich in history, so that's what I enjoy about it. To me, Hispanic Heritage Month really is a time to pay tribute to the great contributions that the Hispanic community provides to our community, from the construction workers that help build our community, to the service industry workers that help our leisure service industry, which are a major industry for our community, to our teachers that are helping new immigrants learn the language so they can better assimilate to our country.
Congratulations to the City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month, Chris Ociadlo. Chris is a technical systems analyst with the city's IT department. When the new municipal court building opened earlier this year, Chris worked tirelessly to coordinate the information technology needs for all who work in the courthouse. During the weekend move from the Regional Justice Center to the new building, Chris worked to ensure all of the computers and phones for the court and city attorney's office were set up and operating properly. As you can imagine, that was no small task. Because of his attention to detail, there was a smooth transition, enabling the courthouse to reopen to the public without missing a beat. For Chris's outstanding customer service to the city and, in turn, better service for our residents and businesses, we tip our hats to Chris Ociadlo, the City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month. Welcome back to City Beat from the Las Vegas City Council chambers. Well, Symphony Park is now the site of yet another exciting and glamorous residential and retail development. Just months ago, we celebrated the opening of Parc Haven. Now we take you to Auric. With the Smith Center for the Performing Arts as your next-door neighbor, greenery all around, shopping galore at the premium Outlet Mall North, a downtown that's bustling with wonderful attractions and fine dining, Auric is the perfect place to live. And on September 14th, the opening of the luxury multifamily residential and retail property was celebrated. Mayor CAROLYN GOODMAN spoke of how a project like Auric is helping to fulfill the city's dream of being world-class.
The city of Las Vegas has always dreamt of being a world-class city. It takes a lot of people, a lot of dreams, and a lot of effort, and a lot of money. But this today, in this phenomenal effort that has come to be, talk about world-class.
Auric is a Southern Land Project, a national real estate development company. Founder and CEO Tim Downey says for years he visited Las Vegas and wondered why people who work and play in the city weren't living in the city.
I was always surprised by how people had to drive to the suburbs with all the jobs being downtown and the Strip and the medical district, the office areas, but people were still driving to the suburbs.
He says Symphony Park provides the perfect spot for a beautiful residential property.
The property here, the way they're managing it, the safety aspect, the security force, everything is a perfect place for people to live.
Auric has 324 studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom units, a resort-style pool, a resident lounge and gathering area, 14,500 square feet of retail, and plenty of on-site parking, plus a lot more, including views of downtown that seem to sparkle as the sun sets. And while all of this is a gem for our city, Councilman CEDRIC CREAR, who represents this area, says he looks at this and other great projects downtown and sees jobs. Thousands of construction and permanent jobs.
When I came into office, we established something called Ward 5 Works, which is a program to help residents get connected to jobs and to get trained, ready, prepared to go to work for the jobs that we are bringing in. And this is another project where we've seen the fruits of that hard work come to fruition.
And while celebrating the Auric opening in style, Southern Land says, stay tuned. They have another project in the works that will offer more living and retail opportunities right in this area. Well, finally, businesses are starting to open their doors after a rough year and a half, including a coffee house up in the Northwest that actually managed to grow its business during the pandemic. Melissa Duran introduces us to them in this Open for Business.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Duran in Sky Canyon in Ward 6. Today I'm going to take you inside of a local coffee house that's not in a commercial property. This one's inside a community center. It's called Aspire Coffee House and it is good. Let's go inside.
It's pretty safe to say your next coffee addiction will be to this place. Tucked away in an unconventional spot in Sky Canyon, you'll find this sip of heaven. Meet Lindsay and Mandy, best friends since high school, who ventured into business together. Both of them coffee lovers, but Lindsay's background in nutrition gave them an idea.
We make all of our own syrups and we kind of wanted like aspire to be healthy. So we did a healthier take on coffee.
Everything from snickerdoodle to pumpkin is natural. They don't use any refined sugar.
And this way it's just easily metabolized. We usually use maple syrup or honey. So it's kind of like natural sweeteners.
We've tested them so much and we've had taste testings with all of our friends and we just made it to where you can't even taste it. So you still feel like you're drinking just a regular coffee, but it's a lot healthier.
And your focus stays on the flavor of the coffee. Lindsay and Mandy have only been in the Northwest space for a few months. They actually started as a food truck right outside what's now their shop.
We would park in the front parking lot and we would be there as often as we possibly could. So as soon as we kind of saw it, we snooped and we looked in and we were like, oh my gosh, look how cute this is. So that was like a big thing. So we just kind of stayed on them and we were very persistent.
That persistence paid off and landed them inside of Sky Canyon's community center.
I think it's a really good idea, especially to help out smaller businesses, kind of give them another option instead of getting the higher rent with the bigger space. And like I said, it kind of brings in more of the community feel when it's part of something else.
It's the perfect neighborhood coffee house, but coffee is just a portion of the menu. Everyone's also talking about the food.
We work with a local bakery, or actually a couple, and it's 5098 Bread, and they make this amazing artisan bread. So we have a couple toasts on our menu. We do an avocado toast and a caprese toast with the house-made pesto that's also vegan. We do
the banana almond
butter and a house-made hazelnut spread, so it's similar to Nutella, but it doesn't have all of the sugar in it. And then that's topped with strawberries and honey drizzle.
And you can't forget about their pastries, some of which they make in-house, but others they sell from a local bakery. Everything from vegan, gluten-free, to keto options. You can find it here. The duo felt strongly about supporting other small businesses in their venture, which is why you'll find products from other local businesses lining their shelves. Aspire Coffee House has gotten a lot of attention. Their coffee is delicious, the food's amazing, and this Instagram-inspired wall is the perfect spot for guests to snap a few pictures and get their name out there.
And that was a big thing for us. With the trailer, our trailer was extremely Instagram worthy. And so we wanted to bring as much of that into this space as we possibly could. And like, she was like, oh my gosh, we need to have an Instagram wall. I was like, yes. So that's like our little area. So like just everything. We tried to like, everybody calls this the trailer 2.0 or whatever it is, because it is. It's like the more people can take pictures and get your name out there, the more marketing you get, you know? So it does help a small business, especially during these times.
The hope is to keep growing, one community at a time.
It's time for another break, but when we come back, on the heels of losing the Mount Charleston Lodge, we have some reminders on how you can prevent forest fires. But as we go to break, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we honor another one of our city leaders.
My name is Luis Molina. I'm the chief for the City of Las Vegas Department of Public Safety. I've been here 9 months, spent over 20 years in law enforcement. And when I found out that the City of Las Vegas was looking for a new chief for the Department of Public Safety, my family and I were very excited to come have an opportunity to work in a city that we love very much. My mother is from San Juan, Puerto Rico. She grew up in an area called Bayamón, for those that are Puerto Rican in the audience. And my father's family from the mountains in Calle. So my family is Puerto Rican, and I grew up in New York City. Loved my mother and my grandmother's Puerto Rican cooking, and my second favorite thing is our music. I love to dance salsa and listen to salsa, so those are my two favorite things about our culture. Hispanic Heritage Month is amazing. Not only does it give us an opportunity to just celebrate our culture and our rich history, but I think the biggest thing about it is it allows us to share our history and culture with non-Latinos so that they can learn about all of the different Spanish countries that make up America, of people that have immigrated here or have been part of America, whether you're from Puerto Rico, Mexico, Cuba. We influence this country so much in our architecture and everything that we do, so it's a great time to celebrate that.
If you smoked, this new lung cancer screening could save your life. Visit SaveByTheScan.org.
Touchdown! Did you see that? Whoa, we scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.
Welcome back to City Beat. Well, we recently lost the historic Mount Charleston Lodge to a devastating fire. Now, fortunately, firefighters were able to beat the odds and keep that fire from spreading to nearby cabins and nearby trees. That would have reminded us a lot of the Carpenter 1 fire we suffered from about 8 years ago. Well, it used to be thought that fire season was just during the summer, but according to the U.S. Forestry Service, they seem to be popping up all year round. Here is more on the reason why and what you can do to prevent a forest fire. It's hard to believe the Carpenter 1 fire took place 8 years ago up on Mount Charleston. It spread more than 28,000 acres before being contained, as it presented many challenges to firefighters with the summer heat and steep terrain. Ray Johnson of the U.S. Forest Service remembers the fire and the eventual flooding created by the path the fire cleared.
The plants, all the grass and bushes, hold the water back somewhat until it seeps into the soil. When we have larger fires like this, especially where there's a lot of incline or it's steep in places, when it rains, there's nothing to hold it back, and then it flows downhill very quickly, and it takes all the soil and sediment with it.
That fire was started by lightning, but most wildfires are started by carelessness. ZACHARY ELLINGER is with the Bureau of Land Management.
71% of all wildfires nationally are caused by people. So we have a huge margin for improvement there, and there are little simple things that people can do, being mindful when they're outdoors of how they could prevent a wildfire.
Ellinger says many are started along roadsides by vehicles.
Just doing some simple things like maintaining your vehicle, your brakes and your exhaust system so that doesn't accidentally spark a roadside fire is important.
Many are started by ill-prepared campers or people building campfires out in the desert.
We also have a lot of abandoned campfires, and so someone will go out into the desert and want to have a fire, and they won't bring anything with them to put that fire out, so no water, no shovel. So we just tell people, if you're going to have a fire, do it in a responsible way, do it in an area that's free of vegetation, and then clear that area around it of vegetation if there is any, and then have a way to put the fire out. Drown, stir, fill with water.
Fires are easy to start, but once they begin to spread, they are anything but easy to contain and extinguish. And according to these two experts, there is no longer anything such as a fire season. Fires are springing up in many areas of the country all year long.
So in the typical sense of what we used to consider fire season, that's all gone out the window, and we are seeing fires get larger, grow faster, and consume more resources than they used to. Part of that is attributed to climate change, and part of it has to do with the fact that we've been suppressing wildfires for so long that a lot of that undergrowth that would have normally burned in a natural fire cycle has accumulated.
They credit public awareness with preventing even more fires from sparking, destroying important land and habitat for our wildlife. They also credit a campaign that started 75 years ago with this familiar guy, Smokey Bear.
The Smokey Bear campaign has reached many millions of people over the years, and we see this constantly. Whenever we go to an event, people literally run up for photos or hugs, so there's an instantaneous recognition, and along with that recognition is that message of only you can prevent forest fires.
So Smokey Bear reminds us, put out those campfires, no throwing cigarette butts out of your window, make sure chains aren't dragging behind your vehicle causing sparks, and maintain your vehicle so that they don't cause sparks. It takes years for a forest to recover from a forest fire. Well, that does it for this City Beat. As we go to close, we're going to take you to a celebration right here at City Hall as we kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month. We'll see you for the next City Beat.
Un extraño enemigo, profanare con su planta tu suelo.
Find out what's going on all over the city of Las Vegas by subscribing to the City Beat e-newsletter. Simply scan this QR code to get a preview of each show twice a month.